June 1942. In the vast Pacific Ocean, a battle unfolded that would change the course of World War II. The Battle of Midway was not just another naval engagement, it was the turning point in the Pacific theater. Fought between June 4th to 7th, 1942, Midway saw the U.S. Navy strike a decisive blow against the seemingly unstoppable Imperial Japanese fleet. But this was no accident. It was a battle shaped by intelligence breakthroughs, strategic planning, and the deadly efficiency of aircraft carriers. How did the U.S. outmaneuver Japan? Why was this battle so crucial? And how did it redefine the future of naval warfare? Let's take a deep level dive into the Battle of Midway. To understand Midway, we must go back to December 7th, 1941, the attack on Pearl Harbor. Japan's goal was to cripple the U.S. Pacific Fleet, securing dominance over the Pacific. And for the first few months, it worked. Japan rapidly expanded, capturing the Philippines, Malaya, Singapore, and the Dutch East Indies. The Imperial Japanese Navy, led by Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, was confident that another decisive strike could destroy what remained of the U.S. fleet. But there was a problem. The U.S. aircraft carriers USS Enterprise, USS Hornet, and USS Yorktown had escaped Pearl Harbor unharmed. They were still a threat. Then came the Doolittle Raid, April 1942, a daring U.S. airstrike on Tokyo. Though it caused little physical damage, it shook Japanese confidence. Yamamoto now saw the need for an even bigger victory. He set his sights on Midway Atoll, a small but strategically vital island. His plan? Lure the U.S. carriers into a trap, destroy them, and secure Japanese dominance over the Pacific. What Yamamoto didn't know was that the U.S. had cracked Japan's secret naval code, JN-25. Led by Commander Joseph Rockefort, American cryptographers at Station Hypo in Hawaii intercepted and decoded Japanese messages. They identified AF as the target Midway. To confirm, U.S. forces at Midway sent an unencrypted message saying their water purification system had failed. Soon after, Japan sent a coded message saying, AF is short on water. The U.S. had its proof. Now, Admiral Chester Nimitz, the commander of the U.S. Pacific Fleet, could prepare an ambush. Instead of being caught off guard, the U.S. would be waiting. On June 4, 1942, at dawn, the Japanese launched a first wave of 108 aircraft against Midway. But U.S. Marine Corps pilots fiercely defended the island, and though Midway suffered damage, it was still operational. At the same time, U.S. carriers Enterprise, Hornet, and Yorktown had launched their own attack groups. But coordination was chaotic. The first American strikes Torpedo Squadron 8 from Hornet were a disaster. Without fighter cover, almost all their Douglas TBD Devastators were shot down by Japanese Zero fighters. It seemed like the battle was tilting in Japan's favor. But then came the dive bombers. At 10:22 a.m., everything changed. As Japanese carriers were rearming their aircraft, U.S. dive bombers from Enterprise and Yorktown arrived at the perfect moment. Unprotected and fully loaded with fuel and munitions, the Japanese carriers were sitting ducks. In just 5 minutes, U.S. dive bombers set 3 Japanese carriers Akagi, Kaga, and Saru ablaze. Japan's naval dominance was shattered. Only one carrier, Hiryu, remained operational. It launched a counterstrike, crippling USS Yorktown, but by the next day, Hiryu too was destroyed. By June 7th, the battle was over. The Battle of Midway was a catastrophe for Japan. In total, the Japanese lost 4 aircraft carriers Akagi, Kaga, Saru, and Hiryu 248 aircraft, over 3,000 sailors and pilots. Meanwhile, the U.S. lost 1 aircraft carrier Yorktown, 1 destroyer Hammond, 307 sailors. Most devastatingly for Japan, they lost their best pilots and crew, whom they could not replace. The U.S., with its vast industrial power, could rebuild. Japan could not. From this moment on, Japan was on the defensive, and the U.S. would begin its island-hopping campaign toward Japan. The Battle of Midway was more than just a battle. It was the turning point of the Pacific War. It proved that naval air power, intelligence, and strategic foresight could decide the fate of nations. Without Midway, the war in the Pacific might have lasted years longer. If you found this deep dive insightful, subscribe for more expert-level history content.